What is up, everyone? How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are having yourselves an absolutely amazing, awesome, wonderful day. Welcome back to J Boo's Plants and Bonsai. Thank you all so very much for stopping by, tuning in, and joining us on yet again another one of our adventures. The weather is pretty nice right now. It is slightly cloudy and a little bit windy, but besides that, the temperature is pretty much perfect and the sun has been poking out at times, and so it's probably going to get a bit warmer. But yeah, gamers, regardless, today we have ourselves an absolutely epic video planned involving none other than this little ficus right here. So you guys may or may not have noticed, we have ourselves a little plant sitting beside me right here. This is a ficus, and I believe it is a Ficus microcarpa. I could be wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And it's going to be the main subject for today's video. This plant has been enjoying life and growing very nicely recently, and in turn that has caused a lot of branches to kind of overgrow and become really long, scraggly, and realistically kind of ugly. It gives our tree more of a bushier look, which isn't exactly what we're going for. Of course, we're trying to actually replicate like a real tree. And so yeah, today gamers, we are going to be pruning the heck out of this thing. Before we dive too deep, I'm just really quickly gonna give a short summary, kind of history lesson of how this plant even came to be, because I'm sure some of you are probably wondering. So yeah. Like some of our really nice plants, this plant began its journey in Hawaii on the island of Oahu, and it belonged to my dad originally. He approximates that it's around 30 years old, and so it's a pretty good deal older than me at this point. This plant mostly developed in Hawaii, which is essentially like the perfect climate for plants, and so that's why it is quite nice in my opinion. And if you haven't noticed already, it also has aerial roots, which we are not able to grow where I currently live. It's way too dry. But when you live in a humid environment, plants like the ficus are able to grow aerial roots, which is super cool. Unfortunately, you can't grow them here, but at least we do have some. So yeah, that was my very brief history lesson on this plant. It's about 30 years old, from Hawaii, so of course it's gonna grow amazing there. Now it's here, probably doesn't nearly like this environment as much, but it's still doing pretty good. All right guys, so before we get into our whole pruning process and stuff like that, I just want to quickly give you guys a better view of the plant, just so that you guys know what we're actually working with. All right gamers, so I'm gonna go ahead and quickly give you guys a tour of our beautiful ficus here. We're gonna start at the bottom of our plant and start by taking a look at these really cool aerial roots that I was talking about. This plant was actually a few plants at one point, so that's why there's so many trunks. It wasn't just one singular plant, it was a few plants planted together. Each one of them are growing, or did grow, aerial roots at one point, as you can see. And I'm glad they are still alive because they make the plant look really cool, give it a ton more character, and overall I just really like it. But yeah gamers, the base on this plant is super awesome, very happy with that. And you guys also might have noticed we have a few dwarf jade cuttings in here. But yeah, let's go ahead and start to ascend our plant. As we move up our plant, you can see our base kind of divides into a few trunks, but all of those trunks are working together and kind of forming a giant cool little canopy here. This plant still has a pretty long way to go in terms of developing the canopy. It's still got a lot of gaps to fill, and overall the shape isn't completely there. But that's kind of what the point of pruning it today is, to help further develop our branch structure, stuff like that. You can see that pretty much all over the plant we have these branches that are getting too long, too leggy, too ugly. So we're going to want to cut back these branches to hopefully promote back budding, and in turn that'll help further development within our branches. So let's go ahead and spin the plant around so you guys can get a better look of the other side. We're gonna go ahead and give our plant a little spinneroo right here. This side that we are currently spinning it to is actually a little bit more full than the other side. You can see the leaves and branches are kind of coming at us a little bit more, versus the other side it's a bit more bare, but that's probably just due to this side getting more sun, simple as that. But yeah gamers, same thing on this side of our plant. We still have a lot of these long, way too lengthy branches that are gonna need to get cut back today. But overall, I'm very happy with the state of this plant. It's currently very healthy and happy, which makes me very healthy and happy. It's got a pretty good amount of new growth, but you guys also might have noticed that some of the leaves are looking a little bit crispy, and that's just from a recent heat wave we had where, of course, some of the leaves got a bit burnt, but of course that's not gonna affect our actual plant. It's just those leaves, so there's no need to worry about it. But yeah, gamers, now that we have gotten a good look at our awesome ficus specimen, I think we should just get right into pruning. Alright guys, so we are now ready to begin our pruning process. And so the first thing that I'm going to be looking for when I'm pruning is of course going to be lengthy branches, but I'm also going to be looking for any branches that are no longer alive or simply just branches that are completely useless or unnecessary and that I know I won't need. So we're going to start at the bottom of our plant here because I'm seeing quite a lot of useless branches down here. If you take a look right here, this branch is growing from the very bottom of our plant. There's no need for this branch, okay? It's just going to give our plant a bushy appearance. So we're going to go ahead and just remove it because we don't want that. It's going to take energy away from what we actually want to grow. Same thing with this branch down here. What is this going to do for us? Realistically, nothing. So we're going to go ahead and just get rid of it. Again, we'll just do away with this branch. This branch. There's a branch hiding in here. Get rid of that one. And now our base is looking a little bit cleaner already. Let's go ahead and give our plant a quick spin so that we can take a look at the rest of the base. And right here, we have another branch growing from way deep in there. So we're gonna get rid of it. Spin it a little bit more. And we have the final branch of our base right here. So let's go ahead and just boom. There we go. Taking a look at our base now, we no longer have any foliage covering it, and so it's a little bit more clear to see and a little bit more exaggerated now. But yeah, now we can of course start to move up our plant. Now that we are moving up our plant, the technique and the kind of deal is going to be pretty much the same, getting rid of leggy and or useless branches, dead branches, whatever. Alright guys, so here's kind of how I look at it when I'm pruning these longer branches. Some of these branches actually already have some branches that are growing off of them, and so that's typically where I'll cut it back to. Even though that could be, and it probably realistically is, a bit too long still, it'll eventually back bud, and then once it grows out, I can see how it grows out, and then I could cut it back further later on. But just for now, to be safe, we're going to cut it a little bit long. Yeah, that's one thing that I'm looking for when I'm cutting back the longer branches, because it gives you kind of a little bit boost when you already have an extra branch growing off. Obviously, if it was like a super long branch, then I would cut it back past the already growing branch because that just wouldn't make sense. But this one's not too leggy, a little bit, but not too much. And eventually we'll probably end up cutting it back again, so it doesn't really matter. Moving right along here, we come across another two branches, this one, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut this branch back to right here because we have a new branch growing off right there. So I simply just cut it back to that new branch. And this one, I'm going to also cut back to the closest, nearest new branch, which is, well, it's behind the leaf, but this branch right here. So we cut it down to this branch right here. I might end up cutting it back one more, not too sure yet. We're gonna just keep going and then decide later. We also want to make sure we're getting rid of any useless or just not even alive branches anymore. And so for example, this branch right here needs to go because it's dead, doesn't have any use. Same thing with this one, just makes our plant look a little bit uglier for no reason. And then we also are going to get rid of these two branches in here because they're just too far inside the plant and they're going to end up just growing into other branches. So we're going to get rid of that one and get rid of that one. So yeah, my gamers, that's pretty much what we're going to do all around the plant now. So I don't have too much else to say. I'm just going to go ahead and prune away, run some clips for you guys to see, and then I'll go ahead and come back once we are done pruning. Alright gamers, so here we are after pruning. As you can see, our plant hasn't made any super drastic changes in appearance, at least yet. It does look less bushy and less full, less leggy, less scraggly, because we did take pretty much all of the super long branches back a little bit. Maybe not as far back as they should, but I just want to be patient for now, you know, see how they grow, and then eventually we'll probably end up taking these branches back a little bit shorter. I just realistically don't want to make any, you know, cuts too short that I can't replace. So just to be safe for now, we're going to leave some of these branches a little bit long. But yeah, now that we have finished with our pruning process, you guys know the deal. It is time to get a better look at our current finished product because, you know, obviously in terms of development, it's not completely finished, but for the time being, it's our finished product. So yeah, gamers, let's get a better look and then we will be back for the conclusion. Alright everybody, so that is going to conclude our ficus pruning video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to let me know if you did or if you didn't. Let me know what I did good, what I did bad. You guys know the deal by now. But most importantly, what do you guys think of the plant? I mean, obviously it is kind of in its ugly phase right now, so I don't expect you guys to really be in awe about it. But once it fills out, gamers, this thing will be awesome. Believe me. Hopefully we can keep it healthy, am I right? Yeah. Thank you all for stopping by and tuning in. You guys are awesome. You guys are the best. I hope I have inspired maybe any of you guys who don't have a plant to go get a plant, because plants are awesome, bonsai are awesome, you are awesome if you are here. I love you guys. Thank you for stopping by. You guys are the best. I think I already said that already. But yeah, guys, thank you. I love you. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you for all the recent support and love. You guys are awesome. Peace out.